How's it going, guys? Mountain Man Militia here, and today we're going to have an interesting conversation. The 5 guns that every gun-owning American should have. This will pretty much cover all your bases as far as every need that you'll ever have. And I'd like to preface this video by stating that if you're a gun-taking liberal and you don't think anyone should be able to own firearms, just click off the video right now because I will hurt your feelings, and no, I do not care. For the rest of you, welcome to America. Let's have this conversation. You can still smell a little bit of freedom, even through all the bullshit that's coming out of our politicians' mouths these days. Alright, 5 guns that every gun-owning American should have. The first one, you should have some sort of sidearm. 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, I guess that would be the same thing, wouldn't it? 40 Smith & Wesson or 45 ACP, doesn't really matter. With modern bullets, the ballistics of these 3 rounds are almost identical, 350 to 400 foot-pounds of energy, and you can, with hand loading, you can get them all up to in the 500 foot-pounds of energy area if you're doing some extreme loads. But all 3 of these will work just fine as a Valiant sidearm, and whether you want, something like a full-size pistol, duty size, I guess you could say, or you want something like a mid-size. This is a Glock 19, excellent choice. Very hard to beat in the reliability category. Or if you want something like this, this is a nice little carry gun. This is a Taurus PT-111 Pro and Millennium Pro. And a lot of the gear snobs out there would tell you that this is a junk pistol and you shouldn't buy Taurus, but Taurus does an excellent job of making reliable firearms for a reasonable amount of money, and both with my PT-111 and my PT-24/7, I have never had any issues with either of them. So whether you want one of those 3, those are all 3 9mm, very excellent choices. Or if you want something like a 45 ACP and a 1911, this is my personal favorite. I'm currently carrying this one. All 4 of these pistols will do the job just fine. And you can conceal carry all of them, although this one I will say conceals the best because it's the shortest. Like, you can tell quite a bit of difference there. But this one conceals the best. Although, with a full-size 1911, it is thin enough to where it doesn't print much, especially if you have an inside-the-waistband holster. And I do prefer to carry this inside the waistband. And then you have a full-size pistol that doesn't really print much, which is a nice added bonus. The second gun on this list is some form of 22, whether you have a 22 pistol or you have a 22 rifle like this. This is a Marlin model 795. It is a mag-fed 22 long rifle, 10-round mags, and you can get 25-round mags for this. I currently don't have any of those, but 10-round mags are the most common. This gun is unloaded. See, nothing in the chamber. I just showed you an empty mag, so we're good to go. And this firearm is nice and light. It's about 4 pounds unloaded. You can carry this around the woods all day. You can throw a Ziploc baggie with a couple thousand rounds in it in your backpack, and you can go out and dick around in the woods all day long. This is probably going to be your most valuable piece in any sort of apocalyptic scenario or a civil war that may be coming up or anything like that. Because you can put a ton of food on the table with this. Small game. You can even kill deer with it if you hit them in the right spot. You can kill deer with it if you absolutely have to. I would honestly prefer a bigger caliber, but this will do the trick. Very, very cheap ammo. You can get 5,000 rounds of 22 for $200. I mean, it's very, very cheap. And awesome caliber to train somebody on that might be new to firearms. You can very easily spike someone's interest in firearms by giving them this first, 0 recoil, teach them the fundamentals, and then they can work up from there, as most of us learn to do. This gun will drive tacks. It's iron sights, but I can hit grouse with this out to 50 yards all day long. And it's just a great little gun. It's going to be one of your most valuable pieces in, doing a lot of stuff, so. The third gun everybody should have is some sort of shotgun. You can't be American and not own a shotgun, okay? This is like a basic rule. This right here is a Winchester Model 1300 Defender. This is a really old, fairly old shotgun. It's not like antique or nothing, but this was made back when Winchester was still made in the United States. They've been made in Japan for a while now. This shotgun was made sometime in the 80s, I believe. This will take 2 3/4 inch and 3-inch 12 gauge shells. 12 gauge is by far the most common shotgun chambering. Hear that? This is probably one of the smoothest commercial shotgun actions ever made. Awesome pump shotgun. Holds 6 in the tube, plus you can throw a 7th in the chamber to top it off. This is going to be your utilitarian firearm. You can shoot slugs in it and hunt very large game like freaking grizzly bear in Alaska. You can shoot a 3-inch Magnum slug is no joke. That is like a 400 or 500 grain chunk of lead. That's not messing around. You can hunt freaking ducks with it, small birds with 7 or 8 shot. My personal favorite is number 4 shot. I use this for turkey hunting, grouse hunting, home defense. This is not number 4 buckshot. This is number 4 bird shot. A lot of people say not to use home defense or bird shot for home defense. If it were 7 or 8 shot, I would agree. But number 4 shot is large enough to where if you dump one of these into someone's thoracic cavity, they're not going to be a threat anymore at all. No way at all. Very utilitarian firearm. You can depend on it. Food on the table, home defense, and fairly inexpensive. You can get a good pump shotgun, whether it's a Winchester or a Mossberg or whatever, for like $200 or $300. You can probably find a used one for under $200, and it'll serve you well, and they generally just work. Gun number 4 that every American should have is some sort of hunting rifle. And this is just an example right here. You've seen this in a couple videos already, but this is a Savage Model 12 LRP. It's chambered in a 260 Remington, which I have right here. 260 Remington, which is basically just a 308 that's been necked down to 264 caliber. Very similar to a 6.5 Creedmoor, except the difference between this and the 6.5 Creedmoor is the 260 can hold about a grain more powder. So for reloading purposes, you can usually get them to go 50 to 100 feet per second faster than the Creedmoor. Very efficient round. I'm currently shooting the 147 grain ELD match at about 2,700 feet per second. Fairly mild load, but with this gun, I've reached out and made hits on targets at about 1,100 yards. I've tried to reach out to 1,375, I think, and was kind of around the edges of the target, but very capable round. Shooting a deer, anything under 800 yards, you can pretty much shoot it with this if you know your data. But you don't have to have something this fancy, because I have about $2,000 into this gun. This is probably my most expensive firearm. Up top here is a SWFA 3 to 15 by 42. Awesome scope, reliable tracking. Fairly inexpensive as far as precision rifle scopes go. I paid about $500 for this on Black Friday. I think new they normally go for about $7, but you don't have to get this fancy for a hunting rifle. Like I have a Winchester Model 70 that was made in the 60s, and I just have a $200 Nikon scope on that. So it's reasonable. That's what most people usually are carrying, is some sort of cheap hunting rifle with a fairly cheap optic on it. And that one's chambered in 30-06, and it'll do the job 200-300 yards, maybe even 400 yards, no problem. But this just enables me, living out here in the West, to be able to reach out to those further shots that we may need to, because out here it's very easy to be able to need to shoot a deer or an elk at 800 yards or 600 yards or anything like that. So this just gives me that versatility, and 260 is certainly a round that can get the job done on even elk out to 800 yards. So, provided you're shooting the right bullet, I usually try to stick with the 140s or the 147s, heavier bullet per caliber. But yeah, very trusty hunting rifle, and it gets the job done. And lastly, the fifth firearm that every gun-owning American should have, certainly not the least important one. I've owned and shot ARs in 5.56, 6.5 Grendel, 300 Blackout, 277 Wolverine. Was I missing one? There's one other one. Oh, 224 Valkyrie, and all those are great. ARs are certainly America's rifle, and they would make fine weapons in this instance. But I just cannot get myself to get away from a good old AK. It's just hard to beat the reliability and the dependability, and you can put this gun through hell, and it's still gonna work for you. This right here is a Zastava, and it's this NPAP underfolder, and it's a great gun. I mean, these usually go for about $600-700. No optics, just the tangent sights on there. But you can still hit stuff out to 400 or 500 yards with this if you're doing your part. It's just not as fragile as an AR. ARs definitely have their place. They're very accurate rifles, more accurate than this. I will give them that. And if you keep them clean, they're pretty reliable. Definitely would not have any problem taking an AR for this purpose. But this purpose would be life and liberty, defending the nation, the Constitution, and making sure that no enemies, foreign and domestic, are going to take away our freedom or our rights to happiness. So that's my 5 guns, and thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and support the cause of freedom. And that's all I got to say. Have a good one, guys. Bye.